wonderful place for a Democrats meeting.
Yeah.
As in my idea of democracy. Like Kate Faulkner used to say, in quoting Marx, that he always said, share the wealth, not the poverty. Well, my name is Maury Foisy. I'm a retired professor and thankfully long out of the 50-minute talk habit.
Good.
For 30 years when I was teaching political science, I taught a class called The Politics of Inequality. For 30 years also, I've known Catherine Chambers. We've both been working on the same problem during that entire time, but with a difference. My job was to try and figure out poverty and why in a land of plenty we still had poor people, when so many other societies have figured out how to do it without having poor people. Long and short, my conclusion was it didn't really have anything to do with the character of poor people. It had to do with the character of our society and the system that we live in. We have a system, for example, our medical system, which is based upon ability to pay right now, more or less. An education system based upon ability to pay, or ability to pay for a house in a proper neighborhood where they got good schools. Anyone who has read any Jonathan Kozol knows the horror of the inequality in our educational system, and it's because of systemic inequality. Unfortunately, our tax system is not based upon ability to pay, but it could be changed. I got another insight into inequality when I was talking with Catherine this morning, and she just as an offhand comment threw out that, well, you know why it is that you don't see, there are very, very few women enter politics before they're 40. And I don't need to tell the women here why that is, but you know, they've been getting experience, doing a variety of other things that are really important. Catherine's approach during this 30 years, and I think throughout them probably, same problem of inequality and of needs that were not met, but a different approach, less talk. Her approach was really pretty practical. She was working the entire time, trying to bridge those gaps, trying to make people whole. She came here from Michigan. She told me her dad had worked 25, 30 years in the Cadillac plant in Michigan. And we all know what kind of jobs those were. I mean, we're hearing about it a lot now that they're going away, but and she said every job she had before she came to Bellingham was a union job, and it paid union wages with union benefits. After she arrived in Bellingham, I know that she worked in a number of cooperatives. She worked at Blackberry Press, and yeah. Bless yourself, read yourself. She was involved in a whole range of activities throughout her time, too. She was concerned with what to do. I saw her and knew her in a number of contexts, groups that were working on labor issues, social justice issues. Back in the early 80s, there were a range of protests against U.S. policy in El Salvador and the things that we were doing, they were doing, in Nicaragua, in El Salvador. But I'm not going to try and go through all of the groups that Catherine has been active in and a part of. Check her website out or talk to her. Just a couple that'll mention of things that I think say a lot was she was the outreach coordinator with the Bellingham Food Bank for 2 or 3 years. And during that time, she did a number of things, organized parades, and probably the thing that she was proudest of is, you remember back in the early 80s, there was environmental concern and also cost concern with the cost of baby food, but the need in food banks for baby food. The food bank didn't always take care of young children. And one of the goals that she set herself was trying to get those little food processor things, you know, where you can put in the carrots and they'd make them into baby food. She got a grant to get all kinds of those that were distributed to people that came to the food bank for baby food. She was also one of the, you know, she was also on the first board of directors of an organization that I proudly joined for quite a while, the statewide Poverty Action Network, which was organized by the Archdiocese of Seattle but served the whole state. It was the first statewide Poverty Action Network, and Catherine was on the first board. Without belaboring anymore, I'd say that Catherine is a candidate who understands green. She'll understand green and green policies. She'll understand local and the importance of buying local and keeping things local and keeping ourselves to ourselves and helping ourselves. But I don't think there's any candidate, or certainly in my knowledge, there's no one that will understand class. Amen. Like Catherine. And by class, I don't mean, you know, in the abstract, an analysis of inequality and so forth, but I mean understanding the condition of working people. And so local is good, but paying living wage jobs is really important to keeping Bellingham. I think that's her vision for the future of Bellingham, really. And if you look to her for anything else, I think the thing you'll find most consistently and most creatively in looking for new ways to do it, or new solutions about how to really bring this thing about, and that is living wage jobs for Bellingham. So I'm happy to introduce Catherine.
Thank you very much.